Utie oha echi ponkno. Needs FM.
Right. We believe that government demands some commendations or deserve commendations concerning the 307 ambulances that they procured and inaugurated it yesterday.
Well, any government that invests in buying ambulances for the country should be commended because there is a acute shortage of ambulances in the country and it's affecting the lives of our people. So we have no, as a political party, we had no issue with the purchase of ambulances by this government. Our issue was why they didn't deploy much earlier as they became available. So the issue we had was the delay in the deployment of these ambulances, but as to them being deployed now and used and going to start being used, that we are happy with, and we have no issue with that, with the purchase of ambulances. It's a very, very important factor. We, in our time, went through the process of purchasing 2 sets of ambulances, 1 set which were used and are being used under the Mills administration, and then a 2nd set which have been put on hold, which is an issue which is being looked at by this government as to certain issues. But so the purchase of ambulances is nothing new in this country, and any government that does that should be commended.
Okay, so now that these 307 ambulances have been inaugurated, what next, especially when it comes to the maintenance plan?
That is the issue with most of our purchases. It's more about the maintenance contract, and you would know that even with ambulances, you would go to a place and the first thing they would say is, "Oh, the ambulance is working, but we don't have petrol. The ambulance is working, but there's no battery. If you get a battery, we can go and help you," that sort of thing. And therefore, the maintenance culture is very important, and funds to keep them running and doing their job is also very important. And they should just be used for what they are meant for, and not necessarily for other factors. So it is accurate that, or it is true that the maintenance culture is important. When we did our contract, we had written into it, 1, the training of paramedics, and we had also written into our contract the need for there to be a service center for the vehicles by the person who was to be contracted with, to ensure that at least for the life of these vehicles, the vehicles could be serviced by the supplier and could be maintained. This was to ensure that the maintenance issues were ones that we dealt with at the forefront. So it will be interesting to see what the contract that is currently being done for the 305 is saying with regard to the maintenance culture and with regard to the price. You would remember this very government made a lot about noise about the price of the vehicle, and it had to be pointed out to them that the price of the vehicle is not something that you can just look at in terms of how much did you buy tomatoes from the market, and you have to, or how you buy a car for yourself. What you had to look at in the price was the training of the paramedics, which was included, and then the putting up a service center to ensure that these vehicles could be serviced. All that was included in the price at the time, but for political reasons, a lot of noise was made about it. So it will be interesting to find out on this occasion what the prices of the vehicles were and whether they also have written in it the issue of maintenance, because if they don't, then before long there might be issues with the ambulances.
Looking at the job creation this initiative has brought, is it also commendable? Because the president has assured us that in the coming days, they are going to recruit 1,477 paramedics.
Well, that is also an unfortunate situation, not in terms of the job creation. The job creation is good, but the paramedics should already have been trained before these vehicles came. You see, this is the point that we keep making. It's not the ideas of sometimes of the MPP government, it's the implementation. Everywhere you turn, there's problem with implementation. Free SHS, good idea. It's in our constitution. It should be done. Nana Addo has come along, he's put it in place. Instead of delaying it for a year or two, and then in that 2 years, build the schools which Mahama had started and then get the CSHs on board, you implement it, and then straight away, what do you get? A traffic light system where students cannot go to school and so on and so forth. Same with the ambulances. As the first few ambulances came, there should already have been a system, a position in place where the moment the first 2, 3 touch the ground, they are used strictly for training purposes, and the paramedics will be trained as they go along. What happened? You brought them, and now you're going to train the paramedics. So if you are going to train these paramedics, can they actually go out and work? Because the paramedics must know what is happening on each of the vehicles. So is it going to be like the WA hospital, where you open and commission it, but you cannot get anybody to work in it? And then after the commissioning, you wait another number of months before now somebody goes and says, okay, now we are getting people to come and start working in it. Why didn't you commission it at the time when, it's never the idea of what is done. It is how it is done and the implementation. So good idea is important. It will create jobs. We are grateful for that as a country. But the implementation, they should have been well thought out and well planned to ensure that we didn't get to the position where we are in now.
Utie Oha Echi Ponkno Needs FM.